to our next speaker, Marisol Montilla from Microsoft. Please welcome her, and I hope this will be very useful information for everyone.
So yeah, the first topic, as Daria was saying, is around Power Platform with SAP. We are going to cover a little bit of why, why it's important that we think about this combination. My name is Marisol Mantilla. Trying to move to the next slide. My name is Marisol Mantilla, and I am a Power Platform Senior Technical Specialist in Microsoft. I joined Microsoft exactly 3 years ago. I think this is my anniversary week, more or less. And I came from SAP. So I was in the SAP world for more than 17 years in total, and in different type of technical roles. But joining Microsoft and starting to work in the Power Platform team meant that I was going to, of course, take over this work and this combination. So before we move into specifically Power plus SAP, I just wanted to clarify a little bit what is low code, because I know in these type of webinars, there is a lot of people that gets interested by maybe the buzz word or something that they saw in LinkedIn or whatever, but they are not really clear in what exactly we mean by this type of terminology. So I just wanted to clarify, when we look at what is low code, for me is visual drag and drop, being able to create software faster, really. And for us, in our world, AI powered. And I will explain a little bit more about that. And the idea is that business and IT have the opportunity to have tools in their hands to solve problems. Now, something that is very important that we try to talk to customers about and to understand is that low code is not a technology conversation. It's more about transformation in general. So it's not choosing a specific tool, it's not choosing a specific type of platform. It's more about how you are going to change your mindset and the ways that you work. And what's driving low code? I mean, according to Gartner, 75% of the new apps by 2026 will be created by low code. If we compare of how it was before, so in 2020 and before that, less than 25% of the applications were created in low code. So it's a massive increase. If you are not in the low code world yet, if you are not in this boat, you should get into it. Now, things that you need to think about. Business requires IT agility. We all know that. You cannot teach everyone to code. And what this means is business requires all of these millions of applications to be created. And we cannot wait anymore for 6 months for a project to be finished. Okay, we need the app for tomorrow. We need it for next week, maximum. So we need that agility, but you cannot have everyone in the company being able to code. And there are not enough developers for sure. But we have this concept of what we call business technologies, and business technologies are everywhere. If you think about 1.2 billion plus people that uses Office, you are going to find that a big percentage of those, they will be able to create inbox rules. That's very good to understand logic. They will be able to create amazing slides on PowerPoint. That's great start for UX and understanding, how to create a user interface. Many of them will be Excel gurus. They can do macros, they can do logic in Excel. So the idea is that you can use this knowledge and then maximize the developers' productivity and let them code when they need. So to understand a little bit more this, you have your developers that they will be able to cover some of the requirements and some of the activities, probably the big ones, the ones that they are more critical, they will, put it in the backlog and start working with that. But the business requires a lot of other things. And what happens in our companies is that they will find a way. And normally that means Excel or Access or something else, like they will do it in another way. And of course, that the creation of that shadow IT world that the IT world has so much fear of will, start kicking in and you will have a lot of problems because of that. So the idea is to lower that waterline and then let your developers code when they need to code, use tooling that they can speed up development, and decide, like have enough skills to be able to use the right tool. And then your business technologies, those people that I was talking about, that they know Excel, that they know how to create amazing PowerPoint slides, etc., use them, use that knowledge, and they will be able to solve a lot of issues on their own. Okay, that's what we call citizen development, like end-to-end citizen development. They will be able to create a lot of stuff on their own. But with strong governance and with the right tooling, you can combine these two worlds in what we call fusion teams. And definitely they will be able to create applications faster. Why I'm talking about this? Because Microsoft looks up low code in a different way. A lot of companies start with the low code world of Microsoft that is called Power Platform by using what is available with Office, like an extension of Office, and they start playing with it and they start learning in it. But then as you start looking at the rest of the capabilities and what is available, we are looking at a platform where we have everything in one place. It's not like other vendors that you will have maybe vendors that are very good on RPA, robotic process automation, or maybe very good on creating apps. But you don't have these type of platforms that you have everything in one place, sharing the same security, the same governance, etc. So in Power Platform, you are able to create mobile apps and web apps with Power Apps. You have the opportunity to create workflows and RPA with Power Automate, chatbots with Power Virtual Agents. You can create external facing business sites with Power Pages. And then we have, of course, the Power BI world of analytics and intelligent dashboards. Everything is supported by a series of extra services. Like we have more than 1,000 connectors, and this will give you the opportunity to create scenarios and solutions that they communicate with a lot of things. So of course, SAP is here, that we are going to talk a little bit more about that today. But imagine a place where you can connect to SAP, but also you can connect with Salesforce or with ServiceNow or with 1,000 other things. And this is growing every day. There is a magic component called Dataverse that for me is very important, because this is the data part of the platform. And there will be many cases where you need to create solutions that generate new data, that you need a place, you need a home for data, and that place is Dataverse. And it's so straightforward to use and easy to use. It has a data model already that you can enhance and create your own stuff. You don't need to know anything about SQL or primary keys and all of that stuff. What you need to do is decide how your data model needs to look like, and then the tool itself takes care of the rest. Then we have other things, other elements, like being able to create AI type of solutions, or AI power type of solutions, I should say, with AI Builder. And this was the first type of kind of AI that we saw into the Power Platform world. We'll talk about a little bit more about other things, but this gives you the opportunity to put, for example, AI capabilities in an easy way without being a data scientist. So imagine a process that is triggered by an email arriving to an inbox with an invoice attached to it, for example. A lot of SAP processes, I think a lot in SAP, but in general, you have a PDF attached, you need to get that data out, and you need to be able to put it as part of the process. This is possible and very easy to achieve with AI Builder. Or you need a Power App where you activate the camera, you take a picture, and you need to recognize an object in a shelf, for example, whatever. So this is very easy to create with AI Builder. Now, something that is key, and talking about this whole concept of fusion development, speed of development, making sure that your pro dev world can create things faster. Also, your business technologies can go and create content for the Power Platform in an easy way. You have the opportunity more and more to use AI as a best friend, I call it. Okay. It's like an assistant. It's like someone that is going to be there for you, to help you, to speed up things, and to do things that maybe for you are not the nicest. So, for example, as a technical person, I don't like the UI creation. It's not something that I enjoy. But with the integration to Figma and having the opportunity to create a UI from an image, or from a form, you can speed up the creation of the UI, for example, in Power Apps. That's something that has been available since last year. Or for example, you have the opportunity to describe with natural language how a date format should look like. Give an example of how the date format should look like, and it gives you, how the formula should look like, and you just need to apply it to your apps. So there are a lot of bits and pieces that they have been available for a while on AI, and you are going to see more and more. Actually, if we look at what is happening in 2023, it's just crazy. The list of AI capabilities that they are available now with Power Platform today, have increased in a big time. And of course, we are getting feedback from our customers, and we are working to make sure that all of that is available. So up to March, this was kind of our status of infusing AI into the Power Platform as a way to help us to create content, as a way to, for example, booster the conversation with Power Virtual Agents. But, sorry, my slide. But what about today? What happens today? And when I say today, I mean this week. This week, there was an important event called Build, Microsoft Build. And in Microsoft Build, there was a lot of new announcements of stuff related with AI. Okay, as we all know, Microsoft has done a massive investment in this area. So there is a lot of different parts of Microsoft that are working with new capabilities where AI is very important. So there is a lot of new things that are happening. Actually, I was playing with something earlier, and then I created a quick video that I'm not going to show the whole thing, but it was just to show that, for example, with Power Virtual Agents, you are able to, of course, create like always, a chatbot where you define the topics, and you are going to be able to decide what the chatbot is going to be able to talk about and connect to systems, etc. But in this chatbot, I'm just going to rewind for a little while. I put that I want to boost the conversation by adding a website, in this case, Infopulse. So what this means is that when I start working with this chatbot, you will see that as soon as I start just testing the chatbot, and this is before I create any topics at all, that chatbot is going to be able not just to say hello and goodbye and thank you very much, like normal topics that the chatbots normally can talk about, but also because of my boosting conversation with Infopulse, is going to be able to answer questions about Infopulse. So I asked the question, do you work with Power Platform? And it came back with some information. Yes, we have consultancy services on Power Platform, and give me some stories. And he gave me some links about some stories. All of these without any extra training at all, any type of topic or anything, it just came back. And this has been actually around for like a couple of months, that you can put one website. This week in Build, it got announced that you can put multiple websites, multiple sources, including SharePoint and including OneDrive documents. These, of course, open up into a whole new extra world of opportunities for that chatbot to have meaningful conversations without having to spend a lot of time creating each of the topics. And of course, this is all internal data. This is your chatbot running with your, inside your work. If you are going to put a chatbot that is going to be externally facing, like for my example, probably is going to be externally facing, this is something that you are going to think about. What are the sources that should be there? You're not going to put a personal document as part of the work. Something else that got announced this week in Build is extra capabilities on Power Automate. And I'm trying to play a video. Let's see, this is not playing. Right from here. Wait. I think it's just slow. And I'm not going to show the whole thing. The links will be there, and I'm sure the team is going to share the not just the recording, but also the decks with you, and then you will be able to click on the links. But what you're going to be able to see in this demo, when you have the time to watch the full video, is that you can speak in natural language with with the functionality that we call Copilot now. Then Copilot, you're going to find it everywhere in different tools, including, of course, Power Platform, content creation, and help. And you can speak in natural language and say, this is what I want to do. And in this case, it's creating just simply like a congratulation email to the new hires. But the good thing is that it kind of, depending on what you put in the natural language, it generates the flow. Something else that got announced this week is that we have a new designer. If you are familiar already with Power Automate, you see that this designer looks different. So there is a new designer that is being created as we speak. And the other thing is that you will have your Copilot on the right, where you are going to start adding questions and comments and asks to a Copilot to go and put extra stuff. So in this video, you will see how it will ask, oh, can you send an email to my manager also? Can you change the format of the body of the email, etc. So you just ask the questions, or not the questions, you make the Copilot help you with some elements of the flow, and then it will go and do it for you. So that one is also in preview at the moment, because it got announced this week. Something else, and I'm not going to cover everything that got announced because it's quite a lot, but something else that I think is quite useful is related with Power Apps. So you are going to see, if you look at this video that you will get the link, is that from an Excel file, you are going to be able to create and generate not just the UI itself, but also the table in Dataverse, the columns. Even if it doesn't have column names, it will try to, with AI, it will generate the column names and a nice starting point for the app. So I just wanted to show the app. Is this one, and it's a fully functional app, responsive app, etc. So this is the type of things that we are talking about when we think about AI. I leave the link of all the what we call the book of news, so you can see everything that got announced in these 2 days, this week event in Redmond. But in general, if I look at Power Platform related with AI, because this is just some announcements on the AI side, there is a lot of very interesting things happening. Okay, so you have all of the natural language stuff, the Copilot help, a lot of things that have been improved. For example, from Power Virtual Agent, there is very interesting stuff in dynamic change, is called. So you can talk to the chatbot, and the chatbot goes and relates with other topics and with the information that is available to be able to propose an answer. And then if something is missing, it will ask for the stuff that is missing, etc. And also you got announced that Power Pages also is getting a Copilot where you can use it to go and generate forms or create pages or text. For example, with the help of OpenAI, Azure OpenAI services, you can generate text to help you with the creation of the websites. So again, I mean, a lot of time, and I don't have enough time today to position everything and to tell you everything, but the idea is that you understand that we are making everything that we can to make it as easy as possible and as productive and as fast as possible for makers to create content. And then they can work together with the professional developers, with the governance teams, with the IT side of the house, to be able to do things right, to be able to have the proper fusion world that I was explaining. Now, why I talk about fusion development if this is an SAP session? Because for me, when we think about SAP use cases, we are talking about fusion development or pro dev using the platform to speed up development. To be honest, I will never see end-to-end citizen development when SAP is in the picture. When we are thinking about an SAP use case, you are thinking about an enterprise solution built with Power Platform, and you are thinking about a more complex scenario most of the time, okay? So it's not that it's not going to be possible and it's not going to be fast implementation, but you need to think about other things. You need to think about application lifecycle management normally. When you are building an SAP use case, you need to think about, where are you going to develop, where you are going to test, where is your production environment. You need to think about maybe versioning. You need to think about the governance team is going to think about who is going to have access to those connectors. What is the process for them to get an environment where the SAP connectivity options are available? So that is important. But it is possible. It is possible to connect these two worlds. And what we are seeing in most of our customers is the need, of course, to be able to complement what it comes out of the box with SAP. This is a need that is always there. It's just that in the past, we used to do it in the SAP system. But for years, SAP has been saying, keep the system standard, keep the system as vanilla as possible. If you need to do something else, do it somewhere else. And that is where Power Platform fits, in that extension bubble, in this purple bubble. Now, of course, there is SAP extensibility tooling that is very good and is important. And many of your use cases will go in the SAP extensibility tooling direction, okay? Using Fiori, using other BTP services, even the low-code services. Because, you know, it could be that many of the cases are okay with that. But you will have a lot of scenarios where it's not just about SAP. Remember the 1,000 of connectors that we have, where you need easy integration to empower people to work where they are used to work. You know, being on Teams and being able to approve things on SAP, or receiving an email with triggering a process that will end up on SAP or wherever. So Outlook, Teams integration, technically possible from SAP tooling, but definitely not as straightforward as it is for us. And then, of course, what we are seeing a lot in many scenarios is that concept of safeguarding SAP data. So we see a lot of cases that you have pre-processes, you have pre-work, yeah, you do, to be able to write on SAP the correct data. And if you ask your teams, for example, the finance team, how they work in those type of scenarios, they work on Excel. And they do unofficial approvals by sending emails to each other, print screens and things like that, to be able to say, yes, this is the data, go and write it on SAP. Those type of pre-processes is something that we are seeing a lot, where you, in a temporary basis, you write on Dataverse, and then you validate it, and you approve it, and you make sure, and then you write on SAP. Okay, think about journal entries that they need to go into the general ledger. This is a typical scenario where we see Power Platform helping in a very, very easy way. But in general, we have these specific patterns. We have being an agility layer for SAP is probably a very popular use case, not just about being able to create a nice user interface that adapts to a specific role, or a mobile app, you know, with mobile capabilities like the camera and barcode scanning and things like that. But also think about agility from the point of view of a customer of mine that is using Teams with an app, with a Power App embed to create a purchase requisition. But because of an acquisition, this company has an Oracle ERP that came with the acquisition and an SAP ERP that was already there. So depending on who the end user is, it needs to go and be created in Oracle, or it needs to be created in SAP. That type of agility, where you have that Power App that is a purchase requisition app with business language that they understand. This is not SAP terminology. It's not Oracle terminology. It's business terminology that they understand, that they don't need training on. They can go and create a purchase requisition and it will go to the right place. That is the type of agility that we are talking about. And of course, now with AI, if we go back to AI, you know, like all of the scenarios that you can think of to add agility, to add the opportunity to put OpenAI in the picture to be able to help you with the completion, with the checks, or with just the creation of the content, then of course is a different ball. Now, the other part that we see a lot into the agility layer is customers that they are in a journey to S/4HANA. And yes, they know, for example, that there is an application or there is something that is going to be better in S/4HANA, but they are still on ECC. They are in all the releases of SAP. And they can provide the innovation today. You create with low code, you don't spend a lot of time, but you provide the innovation today if you use something like Power Platform. Instead of telling your end user, I know it's not very good today, but it will be good when we get to S/4HANA. Just wait, okay? And that is also agility that we are seeing a lot. Collaboration, I think I mentioned already, and this is all about being able to use Teams and Outlook in the picture. I think this is clear. That is the main use of our combination is Teams, Power Platform, SAP. Power combination, and then you will have a lot of end users very happy. And then the word of hyperautomation. And when we say hyperautomation, of course, we are talking about not just RPA, not just robotic process automation and replacing some human activities by a bot. We are talking about the whole big thing of automation, where you are able to do process mining, to understand bottlenecks, to understand how things are going with your processes and possible candidates for automation. Then when you do automation, being able to do it with APIs and in a better way to do a more stable, and when it's not possible, then of course use RPA, but also embed AI in that picture. So again, my example of an email, like an invoice that arrives to an inbox that it needs to trigger a process that talks to SAP, embed AI there and automate the process as much as possible. Your people will be more productive, less errors, more opportunity to have control and check what is happening. Now, something very important, I'm conscious of time. Something very important for you to understand is that even that it's possible to technically connect Power Platform with SAP, you need to decide how you're going to do it. And you have all of the capabilities in the platform from a governance perspective, control, monitoring perspective to decide how things are going to happen. And authorizations stay on SAP. Authorizations are going to be controlled by SAP. So it doesn't mean because I have a Power App that can do a purchase requisition, I will be able to create an SAP if I don't have authorization. Okay, so that is, of course, very clear. But you need to have a strong governance model for sure to decide how you are going to use this. In the deck, I will leave you with some examples of some use cases that I've seen that I found really interesting. This one is about compliance when we need to check the pallets that they are loaded in a truck. And this customer, for example, and I think it happened in other two customers after we implemented in this customer, they used to print all the delivery information from SAP of what the deliveries were going to be, and everything in paper. They have this checklist to be able to say, this has been checked in the truck, everything is okay, everything is clean, it has this, it has the emergency equipment, etc. All of that in a checklist, and then take pictures and put it in a network drive. Take it with a digital camera and put it in a network drive, share a file somewhere. And then Excel to be able to track everything, okay? And then what we did, we created this mobile app, of course, data straight from SAP, then all of the information, all the checklists in a guided process, very nicely done, and then notifications to the right people to notify if something was okay, or to prepare the shipping documents, and Power BI on top of this to be able to do let's say the checks. Similar, there is a VAT checks example here where you collect data from multiple systems, including SAP. You do the automated checks of the VAT. That is a European Union regulation that you have to do that just to make sure that everything's okay. And if something goes wrong, go and inform the right people, and people can go and maintain it in an automatic way or manually with a Power App on Teams. And then, of course, Power BI on top of that. Daria, can you tell me about timing? Because now I'm not sure. I'm done?
Yeah, we are just over time, but if you have to share some more important information, I think you can take 2 more minutes. And okay. There are several questions, and we will not many, so I guess that will do.
Okay, thank you. No, I was just going to say that it is important to understand, because I know this type of webinars, there is a combination of people interested on the business reasons, or other people in the technical reasons. So I will leave you here with some information around how we integrate. From a general perspective, Power Platform integrates API-based, based on connectors, RPA-based, or moving data into Dataverse or Azure Data Lakes and making it available to the Power Platform. If we think about SAP integration directly, we have connectors that they work in a classic SAP way with BAPIs and RFCs. And we also have the opportunity to work in an OData way with APIs that you are able to also use the SaaS products of SAP. So this is something that could be done directly or through API management systems or whatever. For me, RPA, I always say this is my last resource, but sometimes it's the way to do it. And the last thing that I wanted to mention is that we are creating templates for you to understand the art of the possible, to understand how things are done. For example, we have this one that is a picture that is the procure to pay template, where you can see how we call BAPIs, in this case, to be able to create the purchase order, to release the purchase order, to create the invoice, etc. And even if you are not going to implement procure to pay, I think they are quite useful for you to understand the art of the possible with an example that everybody gets. There are a lot of new templates coming. So right now we have order to cash and procure to pay, but you are able to, very soon, you are going to be able to have also other HR templates and other finance templates like a record to report and made to order, etc. Some examples of how much money they have saved, and I leave you also with some interesting resources and links for you to start looking at other stuff.
Okay, yeah, further questions. So I will start from the most liked, from Asim Ali. Is Power Automate Copilot requires premium license, or it will be published to the free license across all regions?
So as it is today, most of the features that are being created from an AI perspective are part of the Power Platform licenses. So it's not like you have to pay, like, for example, AI Builder, you need to have different credits, and you need to have specific AI Builder licenses to be able to use it, or if you have it included in the others, but it has license. But this is about content creation. This is about making sure that you can use the tools faster. So it's Power Platform in there. But of course, there could be some features, for example, Power Virtual Agents. It has its own copilot. You need to have Power Virtual Agent. So it depends on what exactly you're talking about. But the Power Automate, for example, creation from natural language is something that is very. But it's in preview. So in the links, you will see all the information about what is available today, what is in private preview, what is in public preview.
Okay, thank you for your answer. And this is how the question from Natalia Kondratenko from our speaker. There might be a little bit of panel discussion. So Natalia asked, but still professional developers assistance is required. What is the ratio of professional developers and low coders in percentage, for example?
That's a great question, actually, because Charles Lamana was saying yesterday in Build that it's a pro dev event, it's a technical event. And he was saying that they were really happy because 25% of the developers are now pro dev developers in the Power Platform. We are talking about millions. I think it talks about 38 million. I can't remember exactly the number of developers in Power Platform in general. And they said 25% are pro dev. And Natalia is right. This is why in scenarios like SAP scenarios or complex scenarios similar to SAP, when you are in enterprise type of solutions, you require the pro dev world, you require the IT work, but the capabilities in the platform give you the opportunity to collaborate and work together. So you could have the business person creating the app, for example, or mocking how the Power Automate flow needs to look like, and with comments like you do in Word and you do in the other tools, PowerPoint, etc. You can put comments and say, yeah, to IT, here is where you need to call the service to SAP and write on SAP, and they can take over and do it. So the fusion development and the collaboration between the two worlds is there. And yes, pro devs still need it, of course. We need them for sure.
Okay.
We just need them to concentrate in what they really need to do.
Oh, that's thank you very much for the answer. Unfortunately, we have more answers, but more questions, but I hope we can answer them through email because we ran out of time. So please thumbs up to Marisol for her such a very valuable content. And I would like to pass the floor to Natalia.
Natalia Kondratenko. I'm head of Center of Expertise at MHP company. Um, I'm managing 6 centers of expertise. Among them, we have not only SAP as a major one, but also the Center of Expertise for the big data, for infrastructure, for IT architecture. I will tell you about the MHP company because not many people knows probably from our participants and guests. For you to easily understand why the case what that we will speak today, why it could be valuable for you. So the MHP company is a large international agro-industrial group which contains more than 40 enterprises inside, and mainly we are engaged in the poultry, meat processing, and animal husbandry. And we are working and supply products for more than 80 countries worldwide. And our production is located in Ukraine, Slovenia, Croatia, Serbia, Netherlands, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. The number of employees in our company is more than 20,000 people, and we appreciate them that they joined our company. Our CEO once said that the primary tasks for all of us is to find and seize new opportunities that technologies may provide to us. And we dig deeper, we try to find out what we could develop, what we could deliver to increase the business. And today I will speak about the concrete case about the usage of Power Platform tools that was realized and that now working for the business increase for MHP. So I will speak about our goals. I will mention about the challenges that we faced. I will explain the how the technology works, what's the architecture, and of course how we achieved these benefits that we mentioned here. So our goals initially was, and what the task was, how we can predict and understand the results of our crop placements, selling surpluses, purchasing, bartering, trading operations with our crops. Also, we wanted to understand how we can assess in appropriate way the yield variability and how we can calculate properly the crop versus the places where we can store it. How we can use the automation to simplify our job, and how we can lower the cost of the grain components and compound feed, because we understand that the cost of the grain, it's not only the production of the grain but also the logistics inside and other many elements that combine the final price. So the final idea for us and the goal for us was how we can structure our data to make the better decision and finally increase our margin while we operating with the grain. So the main uh, topic and main case I'm sharing for you today, the grain balance and grain management throughout the country, and how use the Power Apps achieving these goals. So challenges that we faced that our decision of grain placement were based on the previous experience. It was processed and we have had the different legacy approaches, different tools, and we assessed all scenarios um, employee can assess by themselves. And also the challenge was a missed opportunity to increase the business effectiveness. The basic process that we started to automate was placement of part of our crop function, then the of purchasing of grain if we have a shortage, because if to speak about the number of our it's more than 12,000 of hectares, and of course we different types of crops. So we understand that sometimes with the weather conditions or other conditions, we could have the shortage of the we should purchase some type of grain. On the other hand, we have had the surplus of own crop. For instance, some type of grain was exceeded expected number of crop. The fourth step was determining the plan of optimization. So we buy the shortage, we make a barter, we sell the surpluses. So where is this balance? And final point is how we can plan the trading, because our customers as well, they have their production plans, and we have a plan list. From the one hand, we have to somehow plan our grains, the crop, hence the wellness and the of our customers. So we went to the vendors, and finally, with Infopulse, we started to develop the algorithm, how we can manage this huge amount of data, and how could this management of the data could be friendly, uh, user friendly, and easy for the employees to process this number of data. So we looked on the data preparation, we formed the variation of crops rotation, and through the machine learning, we solved the nonlinear programming tasks, and finally, the optimization in the next step that depend on the placement done during the previous step. So how it looks like for you to understand, I propose here to see the map and the points where the crops are placed initially. We have to mix these places, so it's somehow the map of, and you can understand many points of crops we have to manage, different types of grain, different amounts of grain, different combinations that should be combined in a special recipes if this is a special food for the poultry, for instance. And the algorithm principles were how we can calculate all options for the crop placement for one field, considering the conditions and restrictions. How we can calculate the run of remaining fields, what we can do more efficient to get results for all placement options, and also the algorithm for determining of the optimal plan for the placement, purchasing, sales, and rotation of this grain raw material. If to speak about the amount of this grain, it's millions of tons, but it's not the main point. The main point is how many variations of this potential scenarios we have. And when it was 10 fields, it's fine. When it was thousands of fields, it was hard to process manually. But when we have had the million of positions of these fields, it became unavailable to process manually by the manpower. So what was the solution architecture that we used? So of course we have had the input data not only from the standard Excel files, but also the information for the weather, information from our customers. This data is moving to the MHP ERP system, and the collected master data, which is the facts, leftovers, consumption of our grain, moved to the corporate data warehouse, where we stored some information which contains dozens of tables, views, and almost one half of hundred of scripts. This information is managed by the user as through the interface that was developed by Infopulse using the Power Apps. The user interface is the most important thing, because the user is the main um, manager who is choosing the options for the future calculation of information in the clouds. So finally, when the full information is gathered, it is processed in the Azure Databricks, and more than 10 billions of combinations. And among of all these combinations, we are choosing the one optimal decision. And of course, the connector to the Power BI to easily see the reporting about the final decision. So how looks like, this is the interface for the system. This is a tailor-made grade balance solution, specially developed for our company. This tool can calculate for more than 100 of calculation scenarios. So the user can choose the crop type they needed, the of crop, because we understand that some, for instance, crops could be um, gathered in September, some in October, and it's time dependent option. Also, the selection of the channel, how we can sell, or we want to sell, selection of the income terms. For instance, we should to deliver it to the sea, or we have to calculate full delivery options. And while the manager is filling the form, the system is calculating the um, option which is most appropriate for this case. So this is a mix. Somehow the machine AI tool combined with the combination of Power Apps also brings the result. So what the benefits we achieved? Approved cost saving of $1 when we started to make the best decision, the optimal crops placement, because placement, it's not only our places to place the crops. It could be rental, and the rental payment also calculating in this system. So we saved money, and we can touch this saveness. Also, on the yearly basis, we are saving around 200,000 of dollars for the compound feed, because we are reducing the rotation cost for components of the feed. And of course, we are saving on the labor of the employees who managed the processing of data that initially was done manually. Now done by machine with nice and good and user-friendly. So we have benefits. We have tool that increase the speed of the data almost in 100 times from 14 days before to process this data to 2 hours. So in future, we plan tool, and we hope that our case could also move or inspire some, companies to move into automation, not to afraid this, um, and achieve the business results, business goals. This is the end. And if any questions, I'm ready to answer.
So we do have a question. Why low code and not traditional development? So why did you choose low code?
Okay, why did we choose? Good question, because it is a way. The first time we used it like a separate project, and actually it was a recommendation from Microsoft that Microsoft can support us with this technology, but then finally the result is pretty well. We use this tool, and we're happy that we could use this low-code platform.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I guess that's all, because we are really running out of time. Thank you very much. Like, send your hearts to Natalia for her presentation. It was
Thank
very
you.
interesting and very practical. And we are going to our next speaker, Valeria. She's our speaker at Infopulse, and she will tell you and show you the how low code technology may be used for many interesting variants. So, thumbs
Hello,
up
dear
to
friends.
Valeria.
Hello. Please let me know if you can hear me well, if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay,
We can see
great.
you. I hope this goes to everybody.
Wonderful. Then let's start. As already mentioned, my name is Valeria, and I'm a delivery manager in Infopulse. And firstly, what I would like to emphasize, that one of our key focuses is to help you, our clients, with digital transformation. And today, we will talk how Infopulse can help you with this. First, we will cover our first direction, SAP Center of Excellence, and our expertise that can help you on your digitalization path. Currently, our team of SAP specialists consists of more than 150 members of different levels and specializations. Our colleagues are experienced in multiple business domains. Our architects have proven experience in big scale international projects. We have consultants who are certified in SAP, and everything this, to summarize, gave us possibility to deliver more than 70 successful projects to the market. We cover services starting from implementation ERP systems based on S/4HANA. Also, as well, solutions for HR departments based on the platform success factors. We have expertise in implementing analytical system based on SAP and data storages. Also, we gained an interesting experience in application deployment in cloud, as for example, Azure and AWS. So we know how to work with SAP RISE Cloud. Except of that, we provide such services as application management and system support. We also have rich experience in integration with third-party systems, which is quite sophisticated sometimes. And separately, there is quite considerable team we have that is experienced in ABAP development. This team develops new functionality as well as provides quite complicated improvements to existing ones. And also including technology direction that gets nowadays more and more popularity, which is called Fiori. If we take a look at the client's map, we can see that it covers mainly Europe, but as well the work is with Uzbekistan, China, Singapore, and USA. In this slide, you can see names that might be familiar for you. So I would emphasize that we have experience in a range of domains, starting from manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, retail, and even we collaborate with SAP in accordance to their needs. The second direction I would like to mention is the Infopulse Power Platform Competence Center. So our center is considered to be one of the largest Power Platform Competences Center in Eastern Europe. We have 5 years on the market. Our center consists of more than 90 specialists, and 60% of them have already more than 6 years of IT experience. Our competencies cover such technologies as Power Apps, Power Pages, Power BI, Power Automate. And clients that work with us start from startups from several people to clients from Fortune 100. 80% of our clients are from the European Union and USA. Our key markets where we are concentrated on are Germany, Ireland, Sweden, and Nordics. Last but not least, we are recognized by vendor. Microsoft addresses to us complex, sophisticated cases to show how powerful Power Apps functionality is. In the next slide, you can see the range of solutions that we have already built. These solutions are successfully used by our happy clients. Maybe if you're yet in the very beginning of this path, you can get some inspiration here and to see maybe some of the processes that you have in your company can be automated by one of our solutions. As example, change management, supervisory boards, collateral management, and many, many others. Today, during the call, I would like to show you real experience, real cases. So we will show you 4 cases, and then we even will take our hands and see how it works in reality. So let's start. The first one I would like to start with is considered in my imagination to be masterpiece because it was created by our team together with Microsoft and customer, and we put as a goal to demo that Microsoft Power Platform is so flexible and scalable that it can reach business goals for big document management enterprise projects. When I talk about enterprise scale, I mean that this solution was used by 10,000 users, where many of them worked simultaneously. We had 1 million of accounts and 250,000 of agreements and unique permissions for them. So business needs that we covered for the client. First of all, we needed to decrease repeated actions connected with SAP. We had to make less so that people make less clicks and data population by simplifying document upload, and having, of course, less missed deadlines and approval lags. If to talk about solution features that we presented, were that all the documents can be accessed and actions performed just in one place. There was single view for needed data and related records, strict control of document deadlines and reminders, and of course simplification of actions with SAP records. Here is a couple of slides how the solution looked like with user interface. In the first, on the left-hand side, you can see that how the documents upload screen looked like, and on the right-hand side, how the process looked like. We will deep dive into details after the next slide because I want to get overview of architecture for you as well. So, what we used here. We created mobile application for 10,000 users that were able to create documents, create approval processes, work on a daily basis, make decisions on corporate documents. We also embedded some PCF components here. A model-driven application was created for administration to maintain document approval processes. Power BI was used for advanced data visualization. SharePoint as a file storage for 250,000 of agreements, with just imagine 4 files per each agreement. It was quite complicated setup for SharePoint. Dataverse was used as a database with inbuilt business logic. And two-way integration with SAP using premium SAP ERP connector to receive and transfer data to Dataverse, which gave us possibility to use non-existing SAP code of some account, for example, to quickly populate information to our system about this account, like, for example, address, sales orders, and so on. So let's take a look how exactly it looked like. This was the page that homepage for the user. And for example, we have documents here that need to be approved. If the user went to document details by clicking the button open, he could familiarize himself with name, code, direction, if it incoming, outcoming, or internal, the type of agreement, some description. He could go to details to take a look at the valid period and, for example, which account it is related to exactly. If there were some files, it was possible to take a look at these files and also familiarize themselves. And most interesting is the process. Here we can see that process here consisted of 3 steps. First was approval, then signing, then review. What is interesting in the solution that we were able to customize predefined processes. For example, this one consisted of 3 steps. If needed, we could make it from 2 steps and so on. If we get into details, we could see what is going on with the first step, for example. We could see that there were executors who needed to approve these documents, strict deadline, and if there was any decision made. Here we saw acceptance criteria, and we see that success factor here was, for example, 20%. So if there are 5 people in approval, 1 could approve this document, and already the process itself jumped to the second stage. Just for purposes of today's demo, we created a customized process where I am the only approval. So let's take a look how to deal with this. First, we could provide a name. Some code, for example. Direction again, incoming, outgoing, internal, and type. Provide some description. Then go to details, choose account, for example, Stark Industries, amount, valid period. And here, what is the most important was to choose appropriate process that was already predefined. For example, in our case, it's financial report template. And files. We are able to add one file or several files just in one go. Then we click on create, give us a minute, and then see how the magic is going on. Basically, what is interesting here that this time we made a customized approval process for myself only as a person, but it was possible, for example, to put some positions like HR manager, for example, and make sure, because we don't know, maybe HR manager, exactly this one, will not work in a year or two. And then the appropriate person will be able to approve this document in the future. So now we have this process. If we go here, we can see that we have 3 steps. And here I am the only one executor. That's why if I go to my tasks, it appears in scheduled ones. Here already I can take a look what is going on here. I can see that, okay, there are 2 documents. It is an approvement and document type is financial report, for example. I can see an account and deadline for myself. Okay, let's take a look if I want to approve it. Again, I can go to details, I can go to files, I can open files and take a look at them. What is going on here? Okay, I think it looks good. And let's approve. After this, when the document is approved, we can go to the main screen and see that the action was approved first, and now the action turned to sign in. As I am the only one who signs, again, I go to my tasks. This task is again in scheduled. I can open it, take a look here. As usual, it is the second person who signed the document. Again, details, files. I can take a look how it looks like and sign. So basically here we were able to show the whole process of document workflow, how to work with that. We could customize each step and each approver with regards to how it is needed to be done in your organization. This was the first case I wanted to present to you, and now I suggest that we jump to the next one. This is a solution for resource management. In my view, it looks really wonderful, and we'll get to know why. But first, business needs. A client came to us asking for to think about something that will help them to get less efforts for data processing, so that this process is performed automatically from SAP tables. Also, they wanted to increase turnout of the process by implementing faster in-time actions from all the involved parties. And the main thing was of ability to work offline with this application. We were thinking about what we can do and suggested a solution with the next features. For example, gather information from multiple sources in one place. Again, predefined workflows where user just needed to choose one and have predefined approvers for each step. We made it possible to have more control of each step to meet SLAs. And again, web and mobile with offline ability. This is how the application looked like. And this was application for managers and application part for based on model driven for administrators. A little bit later, we will go and see how it basically worked. Important thing here that we would like to mention is that we had several cases for implementation of this solution. The first case was for a big, huge factory with more than 100 employees around the world. We suggested them solution with visualization of product line state on a time scale. Also, it was possible to visualize service team slot on site. We help them to forecast downtime cases, potential changes in the production lines, also required resources for future. And also possibility to approve for team setup, sometimes predictable scheduled downtimes. The second case was for a company with more than 2,000 engineers. Moreover, currently in Infopulse, in our business unit, we use this application for our resource planning. I use it every day, for example, and quite happy with this. It helps me basically to understand where my resources are allocated to, how much time they spent on each project. Are they overloaded? Are they underloaded? Do they need any help? Because you know that first 90% of the project are not so scary as second 90% of the project. So let's take a look how it looked like. Or give me, it really looks in the real life. Again, we have two applications. One is model driven for administrators who work on the first like steps with the user, and they, for example, have a new person in the team. They need to create it in the database. Let's create Daenerys Targaryen. Position, let her be software engineer, senior engineer. You can see that here form is really customizable, and I just populated some fields that are required, but we can populate more, just cautious of time. Let's go further. Okay, the person is created. Here, now I'm in my business unit. I put head of delivery manager, and I need to add this person from database. Let's look for her. Here's she, already created. Here I can choose if I want to calculate her time in FTEs or in hours. Personally, I prefer in hours. And let her work 40 hours as a normal person. Here also, as delivery managers, we need to make sure that our people are satisfied and they get what they want from their work. That's why we ask them, guys, do you want to work full time, or maybe do you want to work some overtimes? People sometimes don't want to work overtimes at all. But let's think that she would like to work plus 2 hours per day, which is 10 hours per week. And let's say she started in the beginning of the week and approximately will finish in the end of the year. As of now, we will see. We see that the system asks us to be patient, to wait a little bit because a new resource has been created. So let's be patient. Great. Let's try to look for her now. Okay, now we see that she has no projects assigned to her at all. If we click on her, then we see, okay, we can edit assignment and assign a project to her. Let's have Attack of Clones project assigned to her. This one I prepared before. And again, when her assignment on the project finishes, let's assume the same end of the year. And I want her to work, let's say, 4 hours per day, half a day here on this project. Okay, we have something wrong with finish and end date. Let's try once more. Maybe I made some mistake. Let's start from today. 4 hours per day. Save. Date of delivery from the 1st of May. So something is wrong. Let's try another one. Great, she's assigned to the project now. We can see that color, which is reflected here, is violent. Okay, but we predict that, for example, next week we will have a huge release, and maybe she will work 8 hours per day. And it is also possible. The system asks us if we want to make this assignment for the whole period or just for this one. We decide that it will be just this one. And exactly this week will be turned into green. Great, but what if, and we see, by the way, that we have remaining 10 hours here. So we remember that person is ready to work overtimes. That's why we see that 10 hours are still available for her. What if we think it will be a really tough week and decide to have 16 hours just for this week? Now it turns red. So here we can see how the overall load for the person looks like. And in general, we need to make sure that our resources are totally loaded, for example, and that there are no gaps. And this system provides us with the helicopter view on how the general situation in business unit looks like. So we just see, okay, green color, everything okay, don't pay attention to it. A lot of people here, for example, have remaining 20 hours. We really need to find some project for them. Or, by the way, there are some consultants, then we don't really care if we have full load for them. And because of this, we added this transparent color where we just can skip them. We can use a lot of filters, like, for example, seniority level. If we want to filter only resources with the seniority level of middle ones. We can filter by position if we need to fastly find some designers to make some changes in the application, for example. Can be counted both in hours and FTE. And currently, just in the development, there is always room for improvement. We have functionality for economics, where we will try to predict how much budget will be spent for exactly this project. Then I think that this is done with this application, and let's move on to the last one, which is the executive management solution. What were business needs? First of all, there was a huge administrative huge load on administrative personnel. Some decisions were lost because of the manual work. Employees needed to operate terabytes of documents. So to prevent loss and unauthorized access, we used our application. And ability to choose of the voting models. This is the most interesting, as in my opinion, in this application. And when it was very important for us to work online for the executive boards. So basically, we were able to manage participations and have structured agenda so that meetings went well. We provided ability to execute voting in that manner that is preferable, having ability to choose one way or another, so different types of votings. Also, we organize synchronization with ERP system and manage document flow and archive, and of course, had strict control on the decisions. This is how the application looked like. And again, we have experience in implementing this application in two cases. First implementation was for National Supervisory Board with more than 200 business accounts and more than 2,000 and a half active users. We also organized tracking of more than 7 terabytes of documentation and, of course, integration with ERP to streamline key strategic and operational decisions. The second option or the second case of solution implementation was for company with 2,000 of employees, which helped to manage all cases related to executive management and supervisory board, as well as manage decisions flow proposed by any employee to management, and of course track and not to lose decisions. Dario, can you please tell me how much time is left for me so that I can plan this part a little bit?
Unfortunately, there is no time left. If you need 2 minutes, I guess we can jump. We can have this 2 minutes and then just
Okay.
tell about the lottery.
I will have 5 minutes if you don't mind, please. I would like just to summarize. We are currently on the edge of new low-code, no-code era where Microsoft gives us strong opportunity to use powerful tools to build beautiful applications that can be used anywhere, web, mobile, tablet, both in your office where you have wonderful connection, and also if you, for example, somewhere elsewhere in the islands and having fun in the sun, for example, and decide suddenly to submit some report easily, you can do it. Wonderful thing that you don't need to bother about integration anymore at all. Microsoft brings hundreds of connectors, namely more than 350 of them, and make it easy to get data from the systems and return them. So we can connect to any legacy system. In the last years, we built Power Apps for big multinational businesses, regional companies, and small businesses like, for example, I with my hands personally built application for a lawyer with one administrator, and it works for everyone. So I'm pretty sure it will work for you. So what's next? Let's create the journey plan, and we already have some powerful pills that can boost your experience. First, we need to evaluate your current state, collect your pain points, understand what restricts you, what kind of projects you decide to postpone, and where you lack of mobility and integrations. We believe that hundreds basically of applications are graved on the low level when they even haven't started to be live. Then together, we help to set your benchmarks, build a clear picture of what we are going to change, define a strategy, goals, objectives, and define in vision how it will change your business. So there are two options we can suggest. First is architectural workshop. Here we closely work together. We provide you possibility to get more understanding about the platform. We give you a possibility to try Power Platform by yourself, subscribe to our public training programs, think about your own competence center development. Then we define list of projects which you can realize, analyze time impact to project, analyze time to market impact, and analyze the hybrid models of in-house development and outsourcing. We check your current setup for main. I think that most of you use already Office 365, which means that you might have already licenses E3 and E5, which gives you possibility to have your first own application for free. And by this, we define your low-code, no-code strategy. So we truly believe that trust is a pillar, and we want to practically show you how that exactly we are our trusted partner to support the idea we suggest. So the second option would be application in a week. Just imagine that God created Earth in 7 days, and we will create your first application in 5 days because we just want to have a couple of days off. So, first day we will gather requirements. Second day we will build architecture and design. Then we will customize web application, then mobile application, and on the fifth day we return your application that works and you can already use it in your organization. So we invite you to do things we propose. And the best part for today, we suggest you to participate in our, not a contest, but today you can, by completing quite simple steps, win a Power Apps application. Again, two options that you will be able to have is development of application in a week in the way I just described to you. And the second one is to have 8 hours workshopped, closely working together during the day to get knowledge for you about Power Platform and to identify your further steps. How to participate? Basically, you already have done first 2 points. So you participate here, you attend the webinar. So, and after the webinar, we will send out you a questionnaire and you need to fill out information. Please do it by the 5th of June so that we have enough time to make a contest and announce a winner on the 15th of June. A couple of words about questionnaire. So questionnaire will be just information about your company. What technologies, including Power Platform and Dynamics 365, already in use? Do you have your own competence center or do you want to create one? And which technologies, namely, you are interested in? And why do you think Power Apps is needed for your company? I would like to ask you to fill in this questionnaire precisely, just because it will help us to understand your needs and suggest you better decision. Of course, some terms and conditions will be there. We will need to sign NDA. The scope of our work will be agreed during our sessions before we start working on the application, and your consent to a public case study for the Infopulse website. So I hope that you will participate today and we will work closely together and just go and get it. Thank you for your attention. Sorry for taking a little bit more time, but I hope you enjoyed it and we will see each other on our further work.